Alright everybody, I've had quite a few requests to do some feeding videos on my tank, or on my tanks rather, and it's not really practical for me to do the whole room. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to pick this tank, I'm going to feed it with the camera set up on the tripod here, and I'm going to let the camera roll while I go around and feed the other tanks, and then that way everybody can just sort of look at this tank for a little while, and then I can do another tank, etc. Get myself squared away here. I'm going to feed this tank a little differently than I normally do. My normal routine is I go around the room with the one type of food, then I go around with the next type of food, etc. But tonight, I'm just going to throw it all in at once. And what I'm going to throw in this tank is going to be some of my color enhancing crisps. I'm going to break them up into nice small pieces because there are some little baby guppies in there, as well as the gouramis. And then I've also got quite a few sinking shrimp pellets. I don't throw the shrimp pellets in there very often, but it is nice to get a little bit of meatier protein down on the bottom once in a while. So I figure since we're going to do a feeding video, tonight will be the night. And again, I don't normally just chuck a handful of food in like this, but for the sake of this video, this is the way I'm going to do it tonight. And then I can put the light fixture back in front. Should allow you to see down in the bottom of the tank a little more. A lot of that stuff didn't even make it to the bottom of the tank, but it's in there, so it should get the fish out and active. Let me throw some more shrimp pellets in to make sure they all get to the bottom. I hope that's cooperating. Doesn't appear to be very much activity going on, does it? I would expect the striped Raphael to make an appearance at some point. I'm really surprised the loaches aren't out and about a little more actively. Figured tonight, while I've got the shrimp pellets in my hand, I might as well put them in all the tanks. There's a little bit of activity going on. Not a lot. It's kind of interesting. I used to feed that tank and it was a whirlwind of activity on the bottom. The loaches were just go crazy. And they just don't seem to be reacting the same way as they used to. Well, I'm pretty much done feeding the rest of the room, so I feel like this was kind of a washout feeding video. Of course, I really didn't see a whole lot of what was happening while I was walking around the room. Just every time I turned around, and looked back, it just didn't look like there was a whole lot of activity going on in there. So there you go, that's what it was. I don't know if that was exciting or boring or what, but there was your feeding video. And then maybe tomorrow we'll do the T-bar tank with the angelfish and everything. That tank's looking pretty good right now, and it's due for another water change. And then as I get tanks cleaned up and we move around the room, as I said, we can maybe do some more here and there. This tank is going to be getting remodeled fairly soon. I've still got my crab tank to get situated, and I'm still working on that project, getting all that sorted out. I did make some more progress today, but I've still got ways to go. But once I get the room opened back up and I can actually walk around in here and it feels like it's the way it's supposed to be, I can actually start working on this tank, and I'm really going to open it up. There's not a lot I can do with the wood on the end. The red tiger lotus is planted down in the substrate, so I'm not going to go messing with that too much. Mostly the stuff in the middle is what you're going to see coming out of there. There's going to be a lot of that greenery in the middle is just going to disappear. A lot of those rocks in the middle are just going to disappear, and it'll probably be left with fewer but larger rocks with sort of big open caves and just sort of a little more swimming around room. Again, probably not too far different than what you're used to seeing in most of my tanks. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, that's just the aesthetic I like. They're my tanks. So, I'm going to set them up the way I like a tank to look, and it's going to be pretty similar to the way most of my tanks look. That's just what I like. So, don't expect some radical departure from the way I would normally set up a tank. If you saw my brackish tank recently, the brand new one I just set up, I'm sure a lot of people, when they first looked at it, they thought, that's another one of his tanks, okay, because it is. It's, I got no problem admitting that. They all look fairly similar, fairly basic. I use the same sorts of plants. I got a thing that works for me, and a aesthetic I like, and a way I can keep the tanks clean for the most part, and so I just go with it. So again, don't expect any kind of, radical departure in this tank when I get in here and get around to revamping it. The wood on the far right is going to stay in there, and more than likely the wood on the far left is going to stay in there. I don't really know where I would put that wood on the far left if I was going to put it anywhere. Then the wood on the far right is actually all the way down into the substrate and onto the bottom. It's a really big piece of wood, so I really don't know where I would put that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we could pull that out of there and stick it in my 125 or something. I suppose that's a possibility. I'll think about it. I haven't really given this tank any thought. I'm just trying to keep on top of making sure I do my water changes and stuff. I'll get in there and do my remodeling. I'll start doing my thinking about it when I get in there to do it. So there you go. There's a little look at my Gourami tank. A little bit of feeding, a little bit of rambling, thoughts about it. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. If you like this kind of video, then make sure you check out my Patreon page, because I do lots of stuff like this all the time, where I just do sort of, thinking out loud, walking around the room, looking at the tanks, behind the scenes kind of stuff, and that sort of thing. So you can go check that out if you're interested. If not, make sure you're at least subscribed here to my YouTube channel. That way you won't miss anything I got coming up. Thanks again for watching this one. Don't forget, this is my Gourami tank, and I will see you real soon on the next one.